several awards and fellowships. But what's special about him is that he uses his visual media of photography and films to make children love and conserve nature and the environment. Since 2006, Ramnath has photographed India's natural heritage, from the rainforest of Western Ghats to the peaks of the Himalayas. He has produced a coffee table book, photo book on the Ganges. He has photo documented the biodiversity of Chilika Lake in Orissa. He assisted in shooting and making the famous documentary Secrets of the King Cobra for National Geographic Television. About his education activities, he is a resident teacher at HLC International, a school of a special learning project named Kartevya. He is Executive Director of Youth for Conservation, an initiative founded by filmmaker Shekhar Gattachari. He conducted the Planet and You, a 6-month conservation education program for 3,500 students in 21 schools. He has addressed some 50,000 students across 120 schools of Tamil Nadu using 2 documentary films. This evening, he will show us some of his best photographs on nature and environment and his work in motivating children about the environment. Over to Ramnath.
Thank you so much, Rina. Can we have these lights off? Only these?
I mean the light off.
No,
that's okay. Only the bell was
locking.
Yeah. Thank you for the introduction. I've had a very unusual childhood from when I was in 6th class, and the only reason it became unusual was that I was not very socially inclined. I didn't want to speak to a lot of people, so I didn't go out to play cricket. Instead, I stepped to my backyard to see what was there, and the first sight that I saw was these. I saw a lot of peafowls in my backyard. I come from a town called Pudukkottai, and the minute I stepped out of my backyard, I saw a lot of birds like sunbirds and peafowls, and I found a little macaque that was just crossing on the gate. And I was keenly following where it's going, and it went up to sleep in a mango tree. So my childhood was just spending hours and hours watching these animals and watching these little lizards and waiting for them to do something. By the time when I was in my 7th or 8th, I would see a scene like this, and I would spot a lizard there, and I would go there and I would take a close-up photograph. And I started to see nature in every single place where I go, and it was very obvious that I had to step out of my house and explore the scrub jungles around my locality. Excuse me. And when I went to these scrub jungles, it was something magical, because there was nothing there, and you had to find every single element of it. And the first one I found was a little snake. And as I was gradually going close to photograph the snake, I found a little spider on the nose tip of this particular snake. And I found that natural world is just amazing and it's beautiful. And it's not only the natural world that's beautiful, even the ponds around my hometown was a jackpot for me, because I could just spend a lot of times around these little ponds. You can see 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5. And every time when I came back from school, I would remove my uniform and I would put my trousers and I would just explore these places to find out, to collect these kind of frog eggs, put it in a little fish tub and wait for it to turn to tadpoles and then tiny froglets. And this is what I was primarily doing in my childhood. And like every South Indian boy, I was also taken to the Western Ghats. It's a magical mountain range, and I was just completely smitten by it, because that was exactly the time when my parents gifted me a little analog camera where I can put transparencies and shoot. I was probably the last generation to do that, and I made sure that I found opportunity in every closed door, and I became a wildlife photographer. And my first assignment was deep inside the rainforest to document king cobras for National Geographic Television. I didn't know that king cobras were very venomous at that time. It was, I just wanted a reason to quit my college and do something. So when I went there, I was able to spend a lot of time in that particular place. And by a lot of time, I mean a year-long time. I spent 365 days in this rainforest to document its biodiversity, and just it completely opened up to me. Saw these little red Helen butterflies near streams, and I would see these kind of green Malabar banded peacock butterflies, and I would slowly move inch by inch close. It would take maybe an hour or two, and I found them doing something incredible. And it's basically peeing. But the reason why it's doing is, these kind of butterflies used to spend a lot of time in a puddle of water, and they suck water, excrete water, and the minerals are filtered. It's called as mud puddling. And just because I spent a lot of time there, I was able to observe these kind of behaviors in butterflies, in snakes, and in little reptiles, and also I was able to see nature in a completely different way. When I saw a damselfly, I wanted to photograph damselfly from beneath a leaf. And I made sure that I have to spend 4 or 5 hours with that damselfly, making sure that the damselfly is very, very comfortable with me and get this particular shot. So that's what I was doing primarily when I was a teenager, and I saw these beautiful frogs that you would not see anywhere else, and bees, and snakes like the Malabar pit viper. This is one of the endemic species of snakes that you don't find anywhere else in the world. You find it only in the Western Ghats. Whereas my assignment was actually for king cobras. And I was primarily a field assistant at that time in 2008. So field assistants like me would spend a lot of time there. They would give me some amazing cameras that you would never imagine buying. And they'd say, you go out and shoot. You go out and film whatever is happening. So one fine day, we got a call from a little forest, and they said, a king cobra is nesting there. So they called me and they said, Ram, you're there, why don't you go and film it? And I said, how can I film king cobras? It's so, it's long, it's 14 feet, venomous snake, and I didn't know when it was going to come out. He said, no, you're the only person there, you should go and film it. So my job for 18 days was to get up at 3:30 in the morning, drive to a particular place, park my car there, walk for 8 kilometers, and get into a little hide like this, and wait for the snake to come. It was day 1, day 2, day 3, snake didn't turn out. I was able to find out every single twig that was fallen there, because you are not supposed to do anything. You can't read, you can't talk to your field staff, you just have to wait for the snake to come and film it. So I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and the snake didn't turn up. And it's so surprising that this is one of the few snakes in the world that builds a nest to lay its eggs. Imagine a 14 feet long snake building a nest. So it makes its body into a noose like this, and it will go up, crawl, take the leaves and pile it up, then it will go again, carry leaves and pile it up. You won't believe, it builds a nest that's 6 feet in length and 3 feet in height, and that's how it looks. That's the nest. And it's so amazing that this nest, after 110 days of torrential downpour during monsoon, will not have a single drop of water inside the eggs there. It will be absolutely spotless. There will not be a single drop of water. And the timing in nature is so brilliant that just when the eggs hatch, that's when the monsoon strikes. And the torrential downpour starts in Agumbe, and I was able to work even with the eggs, spent a lot of time filming the baby king cobras hatching out of its eggs, and it was just magical. And I found that what are these forests there for, it's all these great biodiversity, it's beautiful, there's a lot of animals. What are they actually doing to us? And that's when I found out that when these monsoon strikes, all these forests become like a water factory, and they slowly absorb water. These forests are like sponge. The rainforest and the shola forests are like a sponge. They slowly absorb water, and then they form little streams like this. And hundreds of these streams join and form bigger ones. And many bigger ones like these unite together and they flow down as rivers. If you trace any river in peninsular India like Kaveri, Godavari and Krishna, and if you follow them back all the way to where it originates, it would start in a Shola forest in the Western Ghats. And that Shola forest is made up of all the birds and little wonders that you saw. Every little species in that forest makes the bulk of that ecosystem. And it was just magical because I was there spending a lot of time filming these. And later I realized that while forests like the Sholas or water factories, it's the glaciers like these that are water factories for the northern part of India. And it amazes how we all are so closely interconnected with nature. We wouldn't realize that every day because of our lives and because of our work. And I was given a job to document Ganges from its source to sea for a coffee table book. And my job was to drive my car from Chennai, go all the way to Calcutta, and then from Calcutta drive up all the way to Gangotri, trek to Gomukh and come back to Chennai. It was a 9,000 kilometer drive and I was assigned to do it in 20 days. And that was the time, and that was during monsoon. And the next 2 minutes of clip is about a short glimpse of Ganga from its origin. That's the Gomukh glacier, and how it changes the cultural and the natural fabric of the Gangetic plains. That's a little video that I would like to show. That's the journey of Ganga in a very short clip. Just when you look at these rivers that originate in the north, they all go through a lot of extreme weather patterns. Like you all know that North India has different kind of weather. And if you trace back any river in the north, like this Zanskar river, which is another river like the Ganges, they freeze during the winter. That's the river. And the river freezes during the winter. And that's the lifeline of people on the other side of the river. They walk for close to 90 to 100 kilometers in this river, on this river, for 15 days, 20 days, 25 days to take their children to school, for medical emergency, and even for trade. I had an opportunity to tag along with them for 21 days back in 2011, and it showed a world completely different to me, because when you're from south, you're not so used to cold, and you would maybe need a jacket in Bangalore. So it was, I had 8 layers of clothing, and you need to have 3 layers of glove and then put another glove. When you have to photograph, you'll have to remove the glove and make sure you click it, and you'll have to keep walking because that's when your body will be warm. The minute you stop, you'll feel even more cold. But that showed something completely magical. You see waterfalls, hundreds of waterfalls on the river that's frozen, and the food that animals eat will be frozen too. So imagine wildlife, herbivores there trying to find food during winter, from October to January or February. It's very, very harsh, and the mountains would have at least 2.5 to 3 feet of snow. Even the pug mark of a mystical animal like a snow leopard would just be frozen. Even a predator that preys on a red fox like this would just be frozen in time. It's actually a dead red fox. You can see a bite mark of a snow leopard. And this carcass was just lying there for 15 days. It was there when we went, it was there when we came back. Even the towns were something like a, it was so eerie that that's the town. Can you imagine? You can't even see huts there. And that's how it looks. So it was incredible. And the field staff who came with us to assist us were doing some amazing service. They'll have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to these river, break the river, take some ice, bring it to 0 degrees, and then heat it up for us to drink water. And eggs would freeze, listern would turn pink, paste would freeze, and you'll have to wear boots both the boots would be put together would be 1.2 to 1.3 kilos, and you'll have to start walking. You'll have to start walking on this kind of terrain where even a little wave would be frozen like this. It's incredible how diverse our country is. And I was walking on this frozen river. These are all the river, and in certain places it will be flowing. It was just amazing. And so this is the last day of the expedition, and we'll be leaving today, tomorrow. We'd have covered around 150 to 200 kilometers in peak winter. Today we're just going to take a small shot with the sledge cam, where we fix the camera on the sledge, which is an integral part of the Sanskaris. We're going to slowly move this camera towards the ice to just get the feel of how the chadar is. For a matter of fact, I'm actually standing on the frozen river. This is chadar and this is the frozen river. And we have been walking on this river, and it has been very kind to us the last 2 weeks. It's incredible. It's an amazing journey, because in one lifetime there is no other country in the world that's as rich as India, where you would come across rainforests and Himalayan mountains and Shola forests and deserts, coral reefs, mangroves. It's just amazing what happens exactly at the same time in the northeastern part of the country. Like this is in the north, in the region of Kargil and those places, whereas in the northeast, exactly at the time when winter sets in, an amazing migration happens in India. And it's like the migration of wild beast in Africa. We may not even heard about this. A forest like this becomes surrounded by around 25 to 30 lakh birds called the Amur falcons that come from places like Siberia and the Russian Far East. And these birds fly all the way from Siberia, and they stop at Nagaland, this remote corner in a village called Pangti, for around 15 to 20 days to refill their bodies with protein, so that they fly back to Somalia and to South Africa. And the time taken to fly is 4 days. They come from Nagaland all the way to the east coast, they cross India, they exit through the west coast, and they enter through Somalia and reach South Africa in 4 days. And it's so amazing that it's timed with dragonfly migration, so they feed even on flight. And people in South Africa were waiting for these falcons to come, because that's when monsoon strikes there, and falcons are like natural pesticides. The minute they come there, they're so hungry because they've flown for more than 20,000 kilometers, the longest migration by any bird of prey, and they will gorge on the termites and all the little insects there. And they found that 250,000 falcons were killed every day in Nagaland. And it was just horrendous. Every day in a village in Nagaland, 250,000 falcons were killed for meat and for trade. And nobody knew about this. And that's when a few people from Nagaland, they decided to step up, and they said, we have to do something for this. We'll have to put an end to this hunting. And they formed a team of just 4 people, and then they made sure that this particular issue reaches the Ministry of Environment and Forest, and it becomes viral in social media and in the wildlife circles, and they made sure this hunting was stopped in 2012. And they provided alternate livelihoods for these fishermen who were hunters. And now you can go to Nagaland and see these birds just like this. They have homestays there. They earn better money when they used to hunt birds. And you can watch birds. In the evening, the sky would be full of falcons. You can, the estimates say that close to 25 to 30 lakh falcons come there. And it's just incredible. And it was all by this one lady here called Banu Haralu, who is a native of Northeast India, who was a journalist, and she said, I have to do something about this, and let me do something. Today we need thousands of people like Banu, because forests and wildlife are disappearing everywhere, right from our doorstep, all the way to rivers that, help us, and every ecosystem in between. And it is so sad that even our consumption patterns have changed. For example, many years back in Ganga, you would see people lighting lamps on something called as donnai. It's just a few leaves stitched together, or they would light lamps on mud pots. But now they're using this. So that's how deep the issue of environment has gone. And like you saw now, the world that we live in is so closely connected with how healthy our environment and our forests are. And I realized that I can't create 1,000 people like Banu by fluke. It has to be so methodical, and only then priceless natural heritage of our country can be saved. And I realized this in 2010, and I decided that if at all I have to do something, I can be forest hopping all my life, photographing these beautiful places, and I just love being there. But I said, I'll have to focus purely on periodic learning programs, not just one awareness programs, because today in this kind of media saturated world, we need guidance, and we need periodic learning programs for people to imbibe anything, particularly environment. So for the last 8 years, I've been working with numerous schools across Tamil Nadu. I've been designing programs for them using the visual medium. Recently, I have also mentored around 40 children to work on storybooks on environment, which are also published now or available on Amazon. And children are using their books to connect with their community and talk to them about how they can participate in solving environmental problems. Children are, as you will all know, that they are amazing inspiration, and they spend time writing a book. Because if you have to write a book, you'll have to observe a problem, spend a lot of time gathering information, putting together and illustrating like this. So that's what I have been doing from the education front, and this is what I've been doing for the last 15 years. It all began because I didn't play cricket, and I didn't want to. I was an introvert in school, and I just wanted to spend time with nature. But like Gandhi said, if you identify an issue, and if that's disturbing you, and if you're not doing something to it, you're being dishonest. So I didn't want to be dishonest. So I've been on this journey from 2010, and these are some of the work that my students have done. They have mapped the environment across different generations. They spoke to their parents and grandparents about how environment was when they studied in school. So they found that in 1970s it was like this, in 85 it's like this, 2000 it's like this, and in 2013 it's like this. I primarily work with children in rural towns because they have very little exposure to quality education. You can also see the survey number that's written here, and the little rat, little snake and a rat. So that's a short synopsis of what I have been doing all these days. And I believe that we will have a lot of people contributing from different careers, because you can't conserve environment by being a filmmaker or a biologist or a conservationist full time. We need people from multiple diverse backgrounds. Like, I love talking to children, and I love using the visual medium, and I love hands-on learning, because that's what I've been doing for all my life till now. And people like journalists can write very well-researched articles. I believe that if we have to build a generation of ecologically conscious citizens, we need to engage children during their formative years, so that they internalize what they learn, and at the same time what they learn should also help in their life in terms of the skills that they need for today. More than the marks, the skills that they need for today. And that's the pursuit I am in. Thank you very much.